Hey there, math fans. Test 10, Lesson 3. Grab your swords and let's go. Your objectives for today are to find perimeter and area, plot congruent shapes, and identify equivalent expressions. So we will start with a quick review of perimeter and area. So here are two quick examples. Find the perimeter and area for each shape. The biggest mistake we often make is when it comes to area, people try to multiply all four sides. You don't need to do that. Perimeter, you add all four sides because you're putting up a fence and you want to go all the way around. Area, we measure in meters squared, so you just have to multiply two sides. Two things, meters squared, a little number 2. So for the perimeter for this one, I first have to figure out what is going to be the length of the missing sides. So I know these guys are equal, so that'll be 10 and this will be 2.5. So then to find the perimeter, I'm going to add those up. 10 and 10 is 20. 2.5 plus 2.5. I know 2 halves make a whole, so I probably could have done that in my head. So 20 plus 5 is 25 meters. Then to find the area, I need to do 10 times 2.5. Whenever I'm multiplying by 10, I put the 10 on the bottom so that I can just drop that 0 down. And then I just do the ones. Now when you're multiplying, however many decimal spaces are in the question is how many will be in the answer. So there is 1 decimal spot here, so there will need to be 1 decimal here. So area is going to equal 25.0 meters squared. And if it's 0.0, that's the same as just saying 25. So that's the perimeter and area for the yellow rectangle. Let's take a look at the blue square, and I'm just going to erase this to make some room. So moving on to my square, because it's a square, and I know it is, it has lines that tell me all sides will be 4 meters. So to find the perimeter, I need to add all those up, or because I know there's 4 groups of 4, I could just do 4 times 4. Perimeter is 16 meters. To find the area, I'm going to do 4 times 4. And that will also give me 16 meters square. So even though those two are both the same number, they are not the same answer. 16 meters means that around here is 16 meters. 16 meters square means that if I put little squares in here and each one was a meter on all sides, I would be able to fit 16 of them. Okay? So even though I got the same number as my answer, I did not get the same answer. So that was an easy review, so let's plot some congruent shapes. And we'll start that by reviewing what congruent means. So congruent shapes are exactly the same size and shape. They can be rolled around or flipped over. So these shapes here are congruent. It's the same size, same shape, it's been turned, but that's okay. It could also be flipped so that my head was going this way, and that would be fine too. Similar shapes are exactly the same shape but different sizes. So these guys are similar. They're exactly the same but one's grown bigger. So congruent is identical in every way. Similar is same shape but different size. So if I want to draw a congruent shape, and they've given me this handy graph paper, then I need to make sure that whatever I'm drawing is the exact same size, same shape as what's here. So if I look, these lines are each measuring 2 squares diagonally. So all I have to do a congruent shape on here is make sure that I am also measuring 2 squares diagonally in each direction. So the reason we call it plotting is because we're putting it on this handy little graph paper. And if I asked you to tell me what coordinates you would put that at, you could do it easily by labeling your chart. And I'll just stick with numbers here, going up. So if I asked you to tell me where you plotted a congruent shape, you would start by telling me the coordinates. So always x first, 6, 4. It's not wanting to draw today. Then you could do 8, 2. Pencil does not like brackets. This one would be 10, 4. And my last one would be 8, 6. So if I said to you, tell me where you plotted your congruent shape, that's all you would do. And you could write down the original coordinates if you want to make sure it was all the same distance apart, but I think it's easier to just look. And that's it for congruent shapes. We're going to move on to identifying equivalent expressions. So just a reminder, equivalent means equal, which means the same as. Sometimes with little kids, they think equal means the answer is. It doesn't. It means the same as. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. Doesn't mean 1 plus 2 and the answer is 3. It means that 1 plus 2 is the same as 3. And I give you a picture of equal because they're saying that it is equal to sugar. So if I ask you to write an equation that would create the same output values for n in the expression 3n plus 7, it sounds like I'm asking you to do something really complicated, but I'm not. All I'm asking you to do is write this in another way. And an easy way to do that, 3n I know means 3 times n plus 7. These are equivalent expressions. They would create the same output values, which just means the answers would be the same. And I can check that. 3n plus 7. If I make n 1, then it would be 3 times 1 is 3 plus 7, which would equal 10. If I made n 2, it would be 3 times 2 is 6 plus 7, which would equal 13. Then I'll try my other one. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 7, which would equal 10. And 3 times 2 is 6 plus 7, which would equal 13. The output values are the same. So now you try it, either on paper or in your head. Write an expression that has the same output values as 2n divided by 3. So you can pause the video here and give it a try. There's a couple different ways I could do this one. So I could keep it as 2n and I could write it as this, divided by 3. Or I could put 2n divided by 3. Or I could put 2 times n divided by 3. Or I could put 2 times n divided by 3. Or I could put 2 times n divided by 3. All of these are equivalent. They all mean the exact same things. They're just different ways of writing it. Let's try one more. Write an expression that has the same output values as 2x divided by 4. Let's take a moment to think about that. You can pause the video if you want to. So again, there's a couple ways I could do this. I could do 2x divided by 4. I could do 2x divided by 4. I could do 2 times x divided by 4. Now you can see why I wouldn't want to do this one, because these two x's are confusing. But I could do it that way. I could do 2 times x divided by 4. Or I could do 2 times x divided by 4. I would never do this because that looks really confusing. But all of those mean the same thing. They're all equivalent expressions. They will give you the same output values, which just means they mean the same thing. And that's it. We're done. Just a quick review. So find the perimeter and area of this shape. Do not forget the units, please. Number 2, which two shapes are congruent? And you just have to write down the letters. And for 3, which expression would create the same output values for y in the expression 3y divided by 2, a, b, or c? You are done. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.